Hello and welcome to Dell's Gaming, and we are in From the Depths Designer again, looking at the sonar and sub stealth. So in this episode I want to build a sub, and I already have built one. Now this is a sort of sub stealth drone, very small, only 7,000 points, you know, only about 4 long, I think. Yep, just over. Mixture of rubber and alloy. It's got a couple of missiles, but it's just a whole hunk of lead. It does keep a height of around 50 meters in the water, and it can attack and find subs. It's quite stealthy. If we look at the stealth profile of sonar, where are we? There we go. Is that the one? No, that's radar, and that's sonar, and I will need to go into the water. We'll just let it go down, so it's gradually, obviously it's going to start up in the water a little bit, but then it will gradually make its way down. 53, 57, because the alloy at the front, 113. Not very fast. This is not a fast vessel. 4.5, basically not much power. It's only got a few engines on the back, and the sloping is minimal on the front to just the major axes to try and reduce some of the aerodynamics on the front, but I haven't overly done it, for want of a better word. So it's still got a good 57 meters on the front, and the sides are 113. So overall it does actually work as a little probe, or stealth probe, whatever you want to class it as. But what I actually want to build is something a little bit more aggressive, shall we say, basically larger. Plan will be to have a sub which effectively, I think, can head around the about 1,000 meters to 1,200 meters, sort of around that area, without being detected by most of the enemy vessels, and basically shoots out missiles, etc., etc. at that range, and can be defeated by some easy to spot. So it's not to be super stealth. There will be limitations to its stealth abilities. It's going to have full control using dive planes, and also using air pumps to hold its height under the water. It's gonna be a very deep water vessel. I think I will try to make it so that it goes quite deep down in the water, and we'll see where we go from that point. Now I'm also going to try and make it pretty much walkable to a great degree. Engines wise, it's going to be, I looked at steam, but I have this problem with steam underwater, just doesn't seem right. And also it's quite bulky creating a steam. You need to get the speed up. I'm going to need a lot of gears. Speed, I'm going to have a bit of a compromise, as I did on here, between rubber and aerodynamic points, and have a few on the back acting as buoyancy, as thrust. Size wise, we're going to we'll also make this walkable through to a great degree. Now it's going to be fairly small, so I'm thinking maybe 3 might be enough, but I also do want this to have what's the right word for it, ballast tanks on the side for roll control, and then we'll have compartments, maybe 3 or 4 compartments in the main area for the various weapons compartment, AI engines in the rear potentially. Let me just let's get a basic inside hull sorted. So it's going to be a fairly speed build. Now, weapons wise, yeah, we're going to have torpedoes, obviously, and but I'm just trying to think, potentially some medium torpedoes I think will be good. We're going to have a metal hull, so it's going to be covered in rubber, but primarily metal, and so that will be our basic size. Now I think I might go a little bit bigger than that. Weapons, a couple of medium missiles, medium torpedoes, possibly fired from underneath, maybe 2 or 3, that will be its primary damage dealing weaponry, with some small missiles for close in smaller targets and some defences. Potentially it will be passively, I think we'll make it primarily passive detection, maybe a bit of some active, maybe on sonar buoys, etc., just to get the initial detection of the enemy, but primarily passive. Let's just finish this last one off, and then I think that will give me my hull area. Okay, so now one thing I need a controller on the side, so for roll control I need area to the side, like a ballast tank, so that is going to push it out a little bit further. Let me have a think how I can do that. Maybe I can do that all in rubber rather than putting more metal into this area. Now first of all, what I'm going to do is cover it all in rubber, and then come back and see what is I can replace with some alloy just to get a bit of speed up. But we'll start with an all rubber solution and work backwards from that point, I think. The idea being that I need to look at which is the biggest areas that are giving radar signature, compared to their drag factor, and then just basically just work it out, which is what's more convenient, to have low drag or low stealth or low detection rate. So let me get the hull sorted, and I'll be back when we get to the control systems. So the sub is fairly much filled in now with I've kept the detection rates 405 directly to the side, 589 at the 45, which is still below the 600. Front is 144, rear is 141, so they're quite good front and rear. Got some normal propellers, not steam, and we get up to about 11 meters a second, which is enough. This is not to be a high speed submarine, simply because we're going for stealth, which means lots of blocks. Let's see what else we filled it in. We've got electric power. Let me just do a side cut, and then you should be able to see most of it. So this is a cutaway of the side of the ship. You can see there's still a lot of metal. I've put some heavy armour in here because it acts as lead as well as armouring it up. So we've got our front control area here, which is I've put at the front rather than being part of the conning area, but we've got lots of controllers in there. We can set lots of little controls on the AI and height, etc. We've then got the AI section where it's all connected. All the AI uses a connector rather than using any wireless at this moment. Ammo area, ammo store. We've got quite a bit of ammo. It is obviously a weakness of the vessel, but hopefully it won't get hit. That's the hope. Don't know if that will happen, but it is a hope. Engines, we've actually got two engines. I've created a small high power but low efficiency engine at the rear. They're both electric, and then we've got the main engine, which is a high efficiency with RTGs. And then weaponry, we've got a couple of weapon systems. First of all, and these are all below, so let me just go off of the Cutaway. So we've got a dual medium heavy missile, which has got lots of explosives, should go out to about 2,500, so that's for taking out large targets. We've then got a selection of small, fairly low value, low hit, but they will basically blow up small fast targets. So these are aimed at taking out the smaller vessels that it detects. There is also a sonar buoy missile torpedo at the front, which it will just fire out straight forwards when trying to help detect ships that are further away. It also will act as a decoy, which is also a benefit. Out the back we have the main radar detector. Again, will act as a decoy when missiles are coming in, but its primary role will be for detection. And this, along with the passive sonar on the top, is about the only detection systems it's got, along with a wireless snooper. What else have we got? These are all defensive missile interceptors set for torpedoes. So any torpedo incoming, it will fire out a lot of these to basically try and blanket the area with interceptors. Right, we're holding height at the moment and also holding about level, so slightly nose down, but that's okay. Now what we're going to do is go through all of the control systems for this vessel. So let's start with depth control, which is, we've got two areas. One is the general depth. Now at the moment we're at a fairly easy 34, but what I'd like to do is set this to be a little bit lower. So let me go and find the main control. So at the moment we've got this set at 36. So that we're gonna put that down. So I reckon that this should go down pretty damn deep. Now because infrared works at about 100 meters, I'm reckoning 125 meters will be an ideal depth for this to go down to, which means actually setting this to 126, and it's all based upon the height of this ACB, and this side will be 125, and that's the general setting. Now I'm going to set one other setting in the center, which will be if there's no enemies around. So if there's no, well, if the enemy is at a long range, let's say that, if there's no enemy within 3,000 meters, 3,000 meters, will go to periscope height. So then we'll say, where are we? So we'll need two. So we'll say air pumps, set buoyancy at 100%, and we're going to add another one here, which means with a slave condition to say if our altitude, but only if our altitude is from minus 18. I need to do it the other way around. If we're below minus 18. So if we're and then we'll need to just change the priority, so this has a higher priority. So set all of the pumps to 100% if we are there's no enemy around. So we should start to see us starting to rise. We're at 53. Yep, we are going up. Now another simple one we will need to do is a little bit more collision avoidance, and what we're going to do that with is the detection here of if there is altitude over terrain. So if our altitude over terrain is less than 50, then air pumps set buoyancy 100%, high priority. So that will basically blow ballast and just try to raise us up. Now that's a basic height detection system we've got there. Now we could put in an additional one, which is if something is in front of you, then I normally do this on my normal subs. I put another one that simply detects if something is in front, but we'll leave it like that for the moment. That will give us some level of detection. Right, next, going backwards, we want to think about roll. Now at the moment it's not rolling side to side, which is good, but what if it does? Now what happens if we go forward and then turn right? You'll notice it's rolling a minus figure to the right, so it's rolling to the right with a minus figure. So what we want to do in that case is add some buoyancy on this side. So if it goes minus, let's just go here. Right, where are we? Okay, we've got those there. Let me just put a mirror line on. So we need to control this side pump. Let me find it again. Should do this with the F3. People will say, oh, just use F3. I don't like using F3. Okay, where are we? Still can't find it. Okay, so this one will be air pump within 2. So if it goes minus, which means it's tipping to the right, so if roll is from 0 to we'll do it that way. 0 is on a minus figure. Yeah. Set buoyancy at 100. There we go. And then we need to stop that, so we need to do the opposite. So paste if it's from 0 upwards, set buoyancy at 0. Now we actually want these to have a 1 degree well, no, we'll set them at 0, so they will be continuously flicking on off on off on off, which is okay. And we want these also to prioritize themselves above the standard value for height, if that makes sense, for up and down for height. Yep. So we'll just adjust that one as well, make it a 1. Okay, so we go and do the other side. Now finally, with the air, we're going to control the pitch. Now at the moment our pitch is actually very good, 1 degree. It's actually quite nicely balanced with no other systems. But at the rear we've got a little control area here. Where are we? Let's just get in there and find it. So there's a small little area at the very rear of this vessel. Let's just make sure this is the right one. No, I think it's a bit further back than that. There we go. So at the very rear of this vessel there is another little area which is purely, it's got a secondary engine, but it's more used for this air pump, and we're going to put some hydrofoils. So what we're going to say is, if the pitch is from 1 degree or higher, then the air pump within 2 meters, so that means it's pointing up, we need to set the buoyancy here to 100%. If it's the other way around, i.e. we're pointing down, so if it is -1, set the to 0, and we do not need to override any other control, so we put it at level 1. Now that should help to try and keep it buoyant in that particular, plus or minus. Now the only issue, it needs to be generally, to control that, pointing up. If it's generally pointing up, then in most cases it will apply buoyancy, which will then point the nose down again, and that's how we want it in most. So we've got to have a slight nose, which is at the moment with a 1 degree, that's actually not too bad. So that's all of our basic controls, but they might not be enough. If we just put some power on here, let's see. They're controlling it, but not enough. As you can see, the engines there have just managed to push that far too high and too quickly. So it's controlling it in when it's in a neutral position. If we go into this one more time, we can see it's most already applying the forces. So we can see it's just raising it at the rear, and it should hold it at a nice 0 or -1 angle. Yep, that's holding it. But we need some more aggressive pitch control for when it's under power, and also potentially for height, and that's where we're going to use hydrofoils. Now, because this is a stealth craft, I'm going to put the hydrofoils inside now, which may, it does sort of break some of my ideas for what how you should. I'm just going to check though. Let's see, if I put the hydrofoils here, what do they do to stealth? 405. Yeah, they're not too stealthy. 407. What's the thing? It's gone above the 600 there. So where else? Maybe what if we put them in there at the very rear? That's okay. Well, bring this down, and we'll have the there we go. So now we do have some here. So now we'll work out the controller for them, which means we're going to need 2 control blocks like we've done elsewhere to go basically up and down, and we'll put them in here, I think. Yeah, either side of the rudder should be fine. Make sure it's not detected. Yeah, 401, we're okay. So let's see, if the pitch is nose down, no, if pitch is, that means it's minus. So if it's from -1 downwards, we want these hydrofoils to point upwards. Whoops. There we go, those 10 blocks there. We want it to go 45, and then we want the opposite here. So if the pitch is positive, we want the angle of them to be minus 45. And we should see them there at the moment. Yeah, they are pointing downwards. If we go forward a little bit, and where before, so we can see they are pointing downwards to try and keep our nose. Have we gone the wrong way on those? Potentially we've gone the wrong way. Yep, I had gone the wrong way. I'm thinking the force is applied the other way. So if I go forwards here, let's just go forwards, and we can see it is bringing the nose up nicely. We've got a slight wave action there, so what we could do is just put a zeroing force in here. Can't put it there. I need to work out where I can put this. I think I'll have to go just there, and I'll put a rubber block over the front of it just to hide it. So that's a little better. It's keeping it with 1, 2. That's adequate, I think. So that's keeping our pitch nicely sorted out there, so we're not going to go too mad. We're a little high at the moment still, so again, under full power we possibly need some better pitch control, and we'll do the same, but at the front we're going to have some hydrofoils which basically control our height instead. And we're going to leave these controls here all for the air pumps, but we're going to change the altitude and duplicate some of these with a pitch control instead. So having a look around, for the dive planes, there's no actual need for them necessarily to be at the front. We could put them more centrally, and we have got a nice area under here. So I'm thinking that maybe we can put them here just underneath and have a new set of control blocks that work these particular hydrofoils. So now what we need to do is duplicate some of what we've got here, give or take a few, the difference in height. So these are at that height. Where are these blocks? They're 1, 2 meters up, I think. Yep, 2 meters up. So if we get the first key one, which is this one, copy this, and paste it in there. But so this is if it's max value 126, hydrofoils, set angle at, we'll say at the moment we want these going down minus 45, and we only want them to control the 9 blocks, so it's about there. So that's, yep, if it's too, oh no, sorry, this one needs to go up. So if it's too low, it will go through there, and we need the opposite here if it's too high. So if it's minus 125 to whatever, then we need it to point down, and we need to take 2 meters off of actually make that, this is going to be deeper by 2 meters. or we can have this not quite as accurate, so we can actually, I might make this yeah, a little less accurate. So we'll set this at the minimum height, maximum height is 120 and the minimum height is say 130, so it's got a 10-meter range, and we'll have a 0 point. This one will, if it's from 120 minus 120 to 130, set angles to 0, so this will be the 0 point. Now there was one other, which is when no enemy are around. So we'll first of all, let me just paste that one in there, and this needs the slave condition. Where are we? Go and find it. We need the slave condition for so this is gonna go up, not quite as aggressively, maybe 30 degrees. Let's just try that. And we need the height control for that one. I can't remember what the height control was, what it was set at, and I need to deduct 2 or so it doesn't go up too high. Altitude of 18, add 2, so that's going to be 20, add another 2, I'll say 20. So at the moment that's wanting to go up a little bit. Is this also wanting to raise our height a little? Yep, so we should be at buoyancy. We're slowly going up to 18, so we should be there soon. If I just give it a bit of power now, we'll see if our height control works. So we should be trying to hold about a wobbling a little, because this is going to be flicking between 2 sections. Okay, it needs to go up a couple of meters, I think. Take it to minus 15. See how that works for it. That's going up nicely. How much is that pushing out of the water? So now to have a bit of a combat test against some White Flare ship to see whether it will go undetected. We've got the 382-130, so we're still within let's see, the 45 degrees of 571. So yeah, a few blocks have changed here and there as I've just been working on balancing. I've found a few places I can save it, so we've got some good little range. This sticking out here doesn't really make much visibility range. 268, 358, only when that sticks out, etc. Radar range is very negligible, so it's only SODAR. So we'll see if we bring something smaller and large out. So we'll try a Bruiser, which is quite a large ship, and we'll try the Rotarius as a small White Flayers. Now first of all, you can see this is a sort of a problem in that we've got 75-meter error, so at the moment it's not possibly detecting it. It has now detected it, and it sent out its seeking missile. So there's the one with the sonar buoy, so that should mean that it will start to get a better error, or less error, on the ships. because it's basically sending a radar buoy closer to the target, and it actually has fired its main guns. So we've got 2 torps on the way. And what's our enemy doing? They are basically sitting there doing nothing. So they have not detected it yet. Let's see what range we've got. So we've got a range of about 1700. We've still got a very large error. Its ship has gone, or is going. Yep, it's where's he gone? I'll if I can find him. There he is. It's just these water graphics. It's sometimes difficult to see. So it's making its way down to the 125 meters. It's firing out missiles aplenty. It looks like it's mainly the medium sized ones and some sonar buoy missiles. Plus it will be dropping the floating or ballasted radar buoys behind. So we've got a good error on the big ship. The small ship, though, we've still got quite a large error on that at the moment, because its radar range is only, as you can see, it's only 130, but we're hitting this with fair impunity. Let's see what range we've got. How far away are we? We've still got 1,000 meter error, and we are 1,000 meters away. So it should now basically be circling around. Let's see. Actually, it's heading back out again. Should turn. Oh, it's not quite out. That's going at its 90-degree. Effectively, I think we're still. Oh, it's lost connection with that particular, because it destroyed that without ever being detected. And the other ship still not detected it. It saw its mate get destroyed, and it has not had any detection. So next, what if we have a ship which is specifically designed for attacking subs? So this is my frigate sub warfare. It's got torpedoes, and it's got lots of sonars, but it's also, you can see it's actually rubber coated itself to prevent it being detected. It's got this hedgehog at the front, which is quite a nice little mine laying system, which we'll hopefully see. It's a magnetic mines. It fires ahead in the area of the where it suspects the enemy is, and it doesn't need any sort of sonar contact or anything. It just needs to know roughly where it is. So even if the torpedoes are decoyed, they should attack. So I've put an enemy system on here, so we'll just make this the enemy, and then we'll see how these two fight. Well, at this stage, and we are a range of about 2,800 meters. The anti-sub warfare frigate has not detected the sub, but the sub has detected the the frigate. So the frigate is making its way in. Although it's got a fairly low, it's obviously enough for that torpedo to pick it up, but now the frigate has picked up the sub. Yeah, they both picked each other up at what range was that? That was at about 2,600 meters. It has picked up the sub, which means we will now have an exchange of missiles. Now the ASW is a much faster ship. It's not horrendously fast, amazingly fast, but it is faster than the sub, which only has a maximum speed of 11. I think that will go up to about 23. He's on slow speed at the moment. But we have got, I think we've got torpedoes on the way in, and he sent out his torpedo interceptors. I think they are. Well, we'll turn off the interceptions and go for path view. You can see there's a lot of incoming here, so he's going to be intercepting the torpedoes. And our sub has taken some hits now. It is firing its own interceptors. But yep, it's still taking hits. And have we got the mine layer? The mine layer, the Hedgehog hasn't fired yet, and the Hedgehog has fired. We'll see how this manages to work. So basically it fires out roughly in the area it thinks the enemy is in, and then the magnets should lock on to anything within about 100 meters. Now they will sink down. This is at quite a low depth. No, they haven't locked on. Oh, I think some of them may have locked on. Not quite in time in that particular case. But it is still firing its torpedoes out, and I think that we are surviving and repairing and shooting back, and we are getting hits back in retaliation. So this is a wearing down type of battle. Okay, point sort of proven. I think this frigate should win. It's a 54,000 ship, lots of torpedoes, much more equipment than the sub. The sub is 32,000, is a lower level of class, and hasn't quite got as many as much what's the right word I'm trying to think of, hasn't got as much ordnance as the frigate. So the frigate is now firmly locked on, and eventually I think we'll take it out. But it's interesting to see a ASW versus sub. But I had to build this specifically to fight subs. It can attack normal vessels, but it's not as effective. You can see its missiles are going for the sonar buoys, are acting as a decoy for a lot of the missiles from the ASW. With both ships now running a bit of a cat and mouse here, I'm going to have a bit of work on this frigate just to speed it up a little bit. But with them both basically the sub's trying to get away, and the frigate is just over the top of it all the time, just launching torpedoes, and the sub is doing the same in return. It's sort of an even match at this moment. So but it's interesting, the detection ranges have got to a point where, you know, they both can see each other without any issue. If they get too far away though, they do go to a, you know, unable to see each other, which is interesting. But that's it for now. I quite like the sub. I think I'll use that in the campaign, along with a little stealth drone I've got. Oop, nice little mine hit there. Took out a lot of the rubber. Luckily it can repair itself. I think it's maybe a little bit of work on it, obviously a little bit of coloration, but it's proven the point. Until next time though, let me know what you think about the stealth of the sub and the ASW frigate. Obviously I'm going to have a work on it at speed. It's not quite going as fast as I'd like, but as always, keep playing the game and have fun.